Crushgasm, the podcast dedicated to the highs and lows of crushes. From their first to their worst, we're going to cover them all with a cascade of characters, including our guest today, a closeted lactose-intolerant cum-dump, Tim Lagman, a sex educator and podcaster, is here to talk not only about their show, the Sex Ed with Tim podcast, but also their crush on an Asgardian movie star, Tom Hiddleston, who most of you know as Loki from those little indie Marvel movies. So Tim, how are you?
One of those little unknown movies made by a bunch of college grad students for their final paper. Oh my god, I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me, Kendra. How are you?
I'm excited to talk about Loki, Tom Hiddleston. He's kind of like a new crush of mine. I kind of didn't get it until he had a show.
When you asked me from like your list of crushes, I was like, this is the worst choice I have ever had to make. I am like Meryl Streep and Sophie's Choice. And like, who do I? Oh, I love them all. But when it comes down to it, Tom Hiddleston has been the longest lasting crush I have ever had. Started out in high school and all the way up until me right now at 29.
I mean, that's a long time, but I've had people who've had crushes. Like we had a lifelong crush. It was Juliette Lewis. He saw her at 5 years old.
Wow.
In Troop Beverly Hills, and all the way to today. Crushes, they are forever for the most part. Some of them die off, pitter patter. So have you always been the type of person who's been like enamored with movie stars?
Not really, because it takes a lot for me to be enamored by anyone, period. So when it came to Tom Hiddleston, I was like, wow, this guy has a facial structure. And then I started to like, you know how like, remember Tumblr back when it was like good and it had porn on it? I would like
the good old days,
right? Scroll through Tumblr and then I see like Tom Hiddleston's face photoshopped on a naked body, and I was like, wow, this is doing something to me. So I did so much more stalking about like, what's his personal life like? Does my last name ring with his last name, Tom Lagman? I'm like, oh my god, yes it does. So like, have you watched Turning Red?
Not yet. I'm so slow with movies.
That's all right.
I just saw Encanto or whatever.
Okay, yeah. But in Turning Red, she's a 13-year-old girl and she's sketching her crush in her notebook. And I was like, wow, I am very seen right now. I am sketching these weird little TH plus TL4 EVR. Like, I had it bad, like really, really bad. I did all the stalking that I could possibly think of, like, how many languages do you speak? When's your birthday? And are we gonna be like husband and wife at any point? Because at the time I was crushing on him hard. He was single. Sadly, he is involved at the moment. But the crush lives on. Was
he sort of the first like movie star that you went that deep, that you were like, what's his social security number?
Yep, correct. He was the first crush that made me feel angry that I never had him. Because like I would crush on a celebrity or a boy at school and it wouldn't be too intense, just like daydream from afar and everything. But when it came to Tom Hiddleston, I was like having a physical reaction. I was smashing walls and screaming into my pillow. Like, what was wrong with me?
Nothing. You were in love.
I was so madly in love. I still am. I love him. Even though he's dated behind my back, but it's okay, Tom. If you ever hear this, I forgive you.
But so, like, you saw him, you were like a senior in high school, and I think hormones have sort of like settled into place.
Not mine. Not mine.
Not Tim's.
Not
but
mine.
They are still raging at that age. I remember like when you're like 16, 17, you're still humping everything you can at any moment. And then you're like at the movie theater, you see Thor. I do want to know, why not Thor? You went more towards Loki.
Because I want a man with not as huge muscles. I mean, don't get me wrong, Chris Hemsworth is beautiful, and I would go to the ends of the earth for him to break my back. But with Tom Hiddleston, he's got the right kind of build that I like, and he's tall. And I have read, I believe it was Variety magazine, that said Tom Hiddleston is the kind of man where it's a shame if you don't put him in a suit. And I'm like, yeah, correct. He should always be in a suit forever.
I could see that because when he was like, what is it, like presidential Loki, he looked very nice, very suave.
So sharp. I dream about him almost every night.
Had you heard of him before, like the Marvel universe?
Nope. That was the very first time I saw him. And when he landed on the screen as Loki, I was like, yeah, that, like speechless. It was that movie moment where your heart starts to rush, your pupils dilate, you get sweaty palms. And then it's like, I need to know everything about this man.
So did you like go back? Because he had like a lot of movies come out that year. Midnight in Paris, War Horse. Like, did you be like, all right, time to hit the blockbuster?
Was Blockbuster still there in 2011?
I don't remember.
I think. Well, I don't know.
It might have been like pitter pattering because I think I was living on my own by then, and like I would go to the closing ones around LA and like get DVDs.
I definitely did some stalking to see what movies I could illegally download. You didn't hear that, FBI? Yeah, because like, what was it? Netflix had a very limited amount of movies at the time. I don't even know if Netflix was out by that time. I can't remember, but I definitely wanted to see like his complete body of work and his complete body.
Was Tom Hiddleston your type before you seen him? Because you said he had facial structure, that was it, his body was right, or the people that you liked at school and other celebrities kind of fitting that similar mold?
Honestly, I'm not too sure, because when people ask me, do I have a type, or like, what's the first thing you look for in a guy? I'm like, well, the first thing I look for is a pulse, right? So with Tom Hiddleston, I don't know if he necessarily fit my type, because I don't think I have a type. I just really like was enamored and captured by his presence, his aura, and I started to see all of the things that he was doing outside of acting, and I just started to fall in love.
I think what many love about Tom is, of course, his role as Loki, because he's kind of this hot bad boy, but I don't think he's as bad as like he's supposed to be. He doesn't. No, he's not heart.
He's not evil in like the Disney kind of evil tradition, but
not Ursula.
Yeah, although Ursula was another crush that I had. I was like, do I like her or do I want to be her? But
be her.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm gay for sure. But with Tom Hiddleston, I just was bordering on obsession. I thought there was something wrong with me. I had to ask my friend, I'm like, should I go to the doctor or something? I don't know why I'm feeling like this.
Do you think like liking Loki in any way kind of fucked up your head and been like, maybe I do like a bit of a rebel?
I like toxic men.
There you go.
I always seem to dot the toxic I with a heart. No, I like... this is a self-sabotaging thing, but there's just something about men who go against the grain that is very attractive to me. I want you to have like a brain, think for yourself, and I don't want you to just be, I don't know, a sheep. Have original thoughts, whatever original means, but there's something that changes about their sexual aura when they get intellectually stimulated. And I find that very attractive with someone like Tom Hiddleston, because he's like a UNICEF ambassador, he does a lot of charity work, and knows like a whole bunch of languages, which is not surprising because he's a very intelligent person. So when I was first enamored by Loki, I was like, oh, who is this? I got to find out more about him. I've never seen him. I got to do more research. And then as I did more research, seeing all of the things that he was doing outside of acting, I was like, yeah, I'm in love.
You said he speaks like he speaks like several languages. Which language would you want him to like whisper sweet nothings? Spanish all the way. I have heard him in Spain when he was interviewing for Thor Ragnarok, and oh my god, it is the most beautiful thing to hear outside of his mouth. I just I grab my vibrator and get to town. Is he he's British, Is he?
Yes, he
Okay,
is.
so he's British. When he speaks Spanish, does the British does it have a British accent?
So, for the record, he does not speak any of the other languages fluently. He does speak it enough to say, I'm bad at this, but I just wanted to give my shot. And I'm like, you know what? I love that. I love that. More people should be doing that. But he does not speak all of those languages well enough to have a conversation, just enough to be like, I respect your culture and I'm trying to understand and I want to learn more languages.
He can get around the city.
Definitely not. No, he can't. He knows a few phrases. Like for me, I'm bilingual and I'm trying to learn Spanish. So like, I think our level of Spanish is the same in that it's very elementary.
Same.
Yeah,
I took 2 years and it's like, I lived in LA and I think taking the bus everywhere, I did hear a lot of Spanish. So I think I'm pretty good at helping people if they come up to me because a lot of them would. I am part Spanish.
Yeah. Like when you hear
when
you hear Loki, when you hear Tom Hiddleston, he'll be like, Loki es más fuerte que de su hermano. It's very like slow. Yeah, but like I love that he's trying because I don't see many other actors like cultured, right? Like I only know a handful of other actors who are bilingual, and that's such a turn on for me. But with someone like Tom Hiddleston, I'm like, you're really trying, and that's so hot.
And of course, he's not just Loki. He's played other characters like he's in Kong Skull Island, Crimson Peak, High Rise. Any of those characters kind of stick out for you as like,
Ooh, that's hard. Why do you make me choose the hardest things? Oh, this is hard. Besides Loki, I did enjoy him in The Night Manager. That was great. This is hard. Can we move on to another question? This is really difficult.
I will say High Rise. He has a suit.
But yes, High Rise in that suit. Oh my God, yes. I remember he was in
Skull Island, but I don't remember it well.
Yeah. I remember he was also in Coriolanus in 2014. I totally just made that the widest pronunciation, Coriolanus. Mostly because the poster is shirtless Tom Hiddleston.
Great poster. Great poster.
It's a great poster. So I fell in love with him. And he was also in Muppets. Like, of all the things to be in, Muppets. I love him.
Kind of like, it's just one of those things. Like when you're a celebrity, that's kind of like that's like a highlight. Like getting to act with the Muppets or getting on Sesame Street, I think would be a top thing of your career.
Like, can you even peak after that? No.
My thing is like Drag Race, Celebrity Guest Judge.
Yeah.
Or like on Chopped or something. Those are my top things.
He would dominate the world if he was ever a judge on Drag Race. I mean, they had fucking Andrew Garfield, who knows nothing about drag, but so why not have Tom Hiddleston, please?
I know. They did like a Frozen runway. They could totally do like a Marvel-inspired runway, and he could be on.
I would love that. He'd be a good judge for an acting challenge.
He probably would. If they had a good cast, sometimes the acting challenges can be a bit rough. This season's been good, though.
Oh, yeah.
But you noted that you and Tom are both Aquarius.
Yes, Aquarius.
I'm not an astrology person, so I want to know, what does that mean? Would you be a good pair because you're the same sign?
So, I don't believe in astrology as strongly as I let on. Even though I have like the CoStar app giving me daily affirmations. But with Tom Hiddleston, born February 9, 1981, and I am January 25, 1993. We are both Aquarius, and what that means is like we're the rebel without a cause. We believe in the underdog. We like the eccentricity of things, just basically the things that normal society would deem weird. And that's me giving you the most basic Aquarius knowledge I could ever give. And I just am gravitating towards people who care about, other things beyond themselves, which just happens to be an Aquarius thing. So for example, my favorite Aquariuses are Tom Hiddleston, Megan Thee Stallion, and Michael B. Jordan. And they all have like this drive to make the world a better place. With Tom Hiddleston, UNICEF ambassador. With Michael B. Jordan. I know he did a charity. I just forgot what it was. It's zipping my tongue. But with someone like Megan Thee Stallion, she's not only like one of the best rappers ever, but she completed school for medical administration so that she can help the sick. Like, that's so fucking cool that you do that. So it's not so much about the Aquarius compatibility, but more of like, do you care about something bigger other than yourself? And that's sexy to me.
I didn't know that's what I know she graduated, but I didn't know that's what she got her degree in. Good for her.
Yeah, medical administration. She is the best.
So let's talk about the viral sensation that was Tom Hiddleston's Behind. Were you a rabid follower of the hashtag Hiddleston? You're like, yes, I've been at it.
I was foaming at the mouth. I was drooling. I wanted to see every single GIF. Hiddlesbutt, hashtag Hiddlesbutt in 2016, I believe it was. Oh my God. The amount of time that I lost because of that hashtag.
Like, I don't even remember that year.
I don't. 2016 was a rough year. So I can't remember anything besides Tom Hiddleston's ass. It was so beautiful. It was so perky. And I couldn't get enough of it. I cry.
It's a work of art.
Oh my God, it's a masterpiece.
But
it's so perfectly sculpted.
Men's butts, they can be amazing when they're good. Not all of them are great. But do you have like a top 3 movie star ass list?
Top 3 movie star ass lists. So Tom Hiddleston, number 1, obviously. With the part in, I forgot which movie, but Chris Evans, when he was on the ground and Ant-Man was like, that's America's ass. Because that's a great ass for Chris Evans. And oh my God, there's a clip of, oh boy, I need to take a breath because just thinking about it makes me really hot and bothered. The video of Chris Hemsworth bending over. It's not a movie, but he's bending over. I think it's on his Instagram. He's bent over. He has a little leaf in his mouth and his back is arched in a way that his booty is popping out. And he's trying to feed this leaf to a quokka, which is like a small little wilderness animal in Australia. And I was like, bottom. He's a bottom. Got it. Chris Hemsworth is a bottom. I'm ready.
You were on Tumblr. Was there a lot of like Loki Thor fanfic going on?
So much. Lots of things stolen from like DeviantArt when they would make Loki like a stripper, because there was a scene where his like weapon or something like landed in the ground and he swung on it like a pole dancer. So the internet made a huge deal out of that millisecond of a scene. And yeah, my Tumblr was just filled with Tom Hiddleston fanfics and smut and sketches, what his penis would look like. And I'm like, a girl can dream. A girl can dream.
Like, I like Tumblr in that regard, but then sometimes I would just want to find a very like innocent picture of Alvin and the Chipmunks, and then like you search and it would be like wild.
They're like in an orgy or something. Like, no, like, right in my childhood.
No.
Oh, Brittany, no, stop. My childhood.
I was like, why?
I'm glad that Tom Hiddleston is my adulthood crush, so that I don't feel so weird.
Like, I did love Alvin, so to see that was a little much. So you're my brother's age, which means like you know what the world was like before the internet took over. And I think in regards to like movie stars, like in the 90s, they seem like these untouchable forces that because of social media, they're more like brands. So I want to know, do you think like social media presence can make you less likely to like somebody like a movie star or more likely? Because I know Tom kind of doesn't use it in that way. He definitely promotes things and then he says like, hey, check this out, like charity out and stuff. So.
Yeah, like with Tom's social media, like on Instagram and Twitter, he doesn't spill much about his personal life. He builds his image around helping, the underdog, the lesser. And I kind of like that about him, for the fact that this makes me keep the fantasy of Tom Hiddleston. Like, you didn't say any problematic thing. You didn't post a black square. You like you're actually doing something, and you're not like doing it for theatrics or for a show. So when he doesn't tweet about what's going on in his personal life and rather just tweets about charity or whatever, it lets me uphold the fantasy and the idea that I have of Tom Hiddleston in my head. Like, he's perfect, he's not problematic in any way whatsoever, and that just makes me happy.
But on the flip side, do you wish that once in a while he would throw up a thirst trap?
I would. Oh my god, I would. There's this scene in, have you watched the TV series Loki on Disney Plus?
Yes, I loved it.
Remember that one scene where that machine just like zapped all of his clothes?
Yeah.
I watched that scene an inhumane amount of times because I'm psychotic. I am a psycho. I love that. I just love to stare at him with or without clothes. I love him so much.
It was definitely the series that made me look at him different. Because the movies, I'm not like a big, like, I'll watch Marvel movies, but there's only like, I don't stand them all, it has to be a good movie for me. So I like Thor, but the series made me be like, okay, like that gif from Matilda where Miss Honey's just like lowering her glasses.
Lowering her glasses, like, uh-huh.
Like, my husband's like, so you like this? I'm like, yeah, I like this show.
Yeah.
Sure.
Fuck yeah. I'm like, how can
it.
you not love it? It's Tom fucking Hiddleston.
I was like, Loki Day.
Loki Day. Oh my god. That, and like, I had a brief crush on Vision in WandaVision, but it did not beat Tom Hiddleston's crush. I'm like, this is the man for me.
Vision was more like, he's a good guy crush. Like, he's a cool guy. Not like, I want to bang that guy. He is a good person, Vision.
Yeah, I don't want to bang Vision. I just want to, I wanted him to cradle me.
Yeah, I wish he was like my teacher or something.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Crush.
Oh my god, I want there to be a time where, like, I don't know, Tom Hiddleston is my professor when I go to acting school or something, and then I sleep with the professor for a good grade.
Ooh.
The fantasy. That's what I had in my notebook.
You were writing those Tumblr fanfics.
Like, I was never gonna post it for the world to see. Like, I just scribbled it on my notebook. And I doodled what I thought his penis would look like with the horns.
Like in Superbad, you were the Jonah Hill character, just dicks everywhere, Loki dick. You're like,
what is wrong with me? What was wrong with me? What is wrong with me? So many things.
Nothing. It's natural.
This drive. I love that we're talking about crushes, because that's something that I fixate on as a sex educator. When crushes, like, if you Google like how many types of crushes are there, you're gonna see dozens of articles that are like 9 different types of crushes, 11 different types of crushes, 31 types of crushes, and it's like, holy crap, how many are there? But I like that when you boil it down to one description, it's basically like this deep longing to connect with someone beyond the surface level, because a crush doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It can be platonic, a work crush, or someone that, like, you want to be friends with. Like, I have a friend crush, which is my best friend. I want to, like, spend time with her. I don't ever, like, want to have sex with her, but I imagine us growing old together like the Golden Girls, right? Like, that's a crush.
Yeah,
it's a fantasy.
So many types. You can crush on a show because it makes you feel something. You can crush on like a place because it has good memories. I
crush on Tom Hiddleston because he makes me feel things.
Yeah, it makes you feel good. So, speaking of, but something that might not make you feel so good is Tom's real life love life. Is that something you like keep a tab on?
Don't talk about.
I remember, like, he kind of was low key about it until Taylor Swift. That kind of was like, oh, I mean, because anyone she's near is gonna be like in the headlines.
Yeah, I know, and it's like, Taylor, let's go to therapy for once. Let's not give the girls what they are, what's destroying them. Stop with the heartbreak anthems. Get it. Taylor's version, 10 minutes. Oh my god, who has the time?
I don't know. 10 minutes long.
Yeah, or I don't know how long. I don't listen to Taylor Swift.
don't
And
like her recent stuff. I have to admit.
I get into a lot of trouble with the gay guys here in Toronto, mostly because I'm not so cued into gay culture. Like, I'll go as far as like Drag Race, but when they're like, "Are you a Swiftie?" Oh my god, I love her so much. I'm like, no. Okay, so you must like Dua Lipa. Who? Like, yeah, I get into a lot of trouble.
Like a pop female person.
Mine for the longest time has been Kylie Minogue. Do you know?
That's a big one in the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
she's like from a while ago.
Yeah, she was like a gay icon that I never knew was a gay icon, and I loved her so much that, like, you know, she's been at least one song per year in my entire life. Like, you know, what was that song that's like spinning around, move out of my way, and then she comes up with this banger of an album called Disco, which she designed just for gay people. That is on the record. I will say that myself. So yeah, mine is like Kylie Minogue, who is like a gay icon. But when it comes to like mainstream gay stuff like Taylor Swift, I'm like, no, I'm good. Her brand of white feminism doesn't sit well with me. Bye. No. And mostly because I despise her because she dated Tom Hiddleston.
You're like, she can rot in hell.
She totally can. I hate her.
Yeah.
How dare you make that awful cover of Earth, Wind, and Fire?
What one? What'd you do?
September. She made it like a folksy kind of boring thing. I'm like, why? Nobody asked for this.
I'll skip that because it should only be the version that it is.
Yeah, the disco version.
I do want to bring up the fact that Tom has yet to grace the cover of People Magazine's Sexiest Man issue. He's been featured, but your other movie star crush, Paul Rudd, took it last year. Do you think that was the right call?
Yes. If it's not Tom Hiddleston, it is Paul Rudd. He is such a hunk. Like, he has never aged since Clueless. I watched that movie again because that movie came out when I was born. So I watched it now as an adult, and I'm like, he looks exactly the same.
Isn't it creepy?
He's so beautiful. This is what happens to white people when they stay out of other people's business. You age gracefully.
That's
like
what they said. They're like, see, white people, this is what happens when you're not problematic.
Yeah, like look at Paul Rudd, Leslie Mann, Jennifer Aniston. These are all white people that have stayed in their lane, haven't done any sort of black square or gotten to a Me Too hashtag or whatever, and they still look great. Plus, that one scene, it was such a quick, like, millisecond of Paul Rudd, like, dressing his wounds, and you can see him flexing his abs. I'm like, oh my god, my back is arching, my toes are curling.
He just turned 53.
Can you believe?
No.
Can you believe? Yeah, he does not look a day over his 30s.
It's like I am old. I look older than him, and he's at 20.
Right? I've got like fucking gray hairs on my face, and this guy is looking good in his 50s. I want that. I want him. If not Tom, I can have Paul.
But you know, we're not white, so it's gonna be okay for us.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Christopher Jamal Evans, come hit us up.
Okay, we're good.
Paul
we're good.
Jamal Rudd.
So we've reached the part of the interview where we give into the fantasy. So if you could live out your life with Tom Hiddleston and push his fiance out of the way, what would your lives be like?
We would be living in, let's see, either like a high rise or somewhere like, I wouldn't say wilderness, kind of like I would take him back to my home country, the Philippines, where we live on the islands, and we would have a zero carbon footprint lifestyle. So everything we do is like environmentally friendly, and everything we do is or everything we wear would be like biodegradable. We'd be fucking 24/7. And I feel like that's a happy retirement, a happy life, you know. We'd be helping the local community with, like, I don't know, schools or building shelters and going to Planned Parenthood and providing sex education for those who don't have access to it, right? I feel like we make such a strong power couple, and we take over the world, thus making him the Dark Lord Loki. And I'd be his first lady by his side.
Lady Loki.
Oh my God. Is there such a thing? Yeah. Wait, no, I don't know. Lady Loki.
Yeah, a lot of
Okay.
yeah, I mean there's a Lady Loki.
I want it so bad. I want to be with him so bad. I want him to be inside of me. And be in him.
Great. Go for the gold.
Go for the gold.
I just want to say Paul Rudd is the same age as Jennifer Lopez, Matthew McConaughey, Jason Bateman. These are all beautiful people. 1969 birthdays. Kate Blanchett.
1969 was a great year. That was the start of what sparked the gay pride movement.
Well, there you go. Paul Rudd.
That's why.
They saw him and were like, yes.
1969 was the Stonewall riots, and then
Paul Rudd came out and all was good in the world.
The world was brought to balance. He was the avatar.
Now it's time to talk more about you and all the great things you have going on.
Yeah, right.
When you went in for your business degree, did you ever think you'd utilize it in sex education?
No, because I was going from a business degree out of necessity. I was doing business at school plus escorting. So when I graduated, I'm like, I don't know what to do because for the record, my business degree was in a focus on the music business, which is a very unstable and volatile industry. And it's a lot of ass kissing and rubbing noses, and that was not sustainable for me. So I took a year off to figure out what I wanted to do. And I'm like, you know what? I am pretty damn good at sex. I know how to run a business because I graduated and with honors. So I think I can make a sustainable business out of this. And look where I am now. I'm doing a podcast. I am coaching, hosting lectures, writing. I have an advice column. So it's all been pretty good.
I want to mention, I think when we think of sex educators or just sex, people in the world, that have those careers, we think of Dr. Ruth, Dr. Drew, very hetero, very white people. How do you feel being someone who ain't all that, but rather a person of color in the LGBTQ plus community in that space?
I feel very I need to work twice as hard to get the traction I'm getting. Because say, I don't know, there's this one educator by the name of Kim Anami. She's not an educator because she's absolutely racist and spreads a lot of misinformation with COVID and the vagina and all that. And she has 300 something thousand followers. I don't know if she blocked me. But the Asian community made it very apparent that her video on the jade egg in your vagina while she's wearing yellow face was absolutely disgusting and wrong. And she just blocked everyone that was calling her out on it, including me. And it's so hard to get those numbers because people don't listen to queer people, to people of color. They see a face that's familiar and friendly, like a white person, like Dr. Ruth, Dr. Drew, or whatever else, and they're like, okay, that's trustworthy. And then they see a face like mine, and it's oh, an Asian with who's also an escort, is that really the best source for sex education? Yeah, because a lot of people who look for sex ed are waspy white women, and they look for other waspy white women or waspy white women adjacent. So it's very annoying. So I have to work extra hard to get more downloads, more views, more readers.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who's not white, straight, even male, white, straight males, it's so hard.
It's difficult. I have I barely broke 1,000 on my Instagram. It's killing me. I want more. I'm spreading the good word here, and it's from 4 years of escorting. I have had sex with over 1,000 people already. So
every follower you get.
Yeah, right. So I hope that my word is gospel in a way that I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about.
Well, Well, you noted that sex should be fun and funny. What are some like quick examples that you can share with people to bring a little comedy into the bedroom?
So, for example, somebody is having, or I don't know, you're having anal and there's like an accidental fart. Instead of being like, ew, gross, you can be like, did you have tacos today? Because it's so like, shit happens. Unintended, right? Shit happens. It's happened to me. It's happened to a lot of my clients and a lot of the guys I've had sex with because, it's a bodily function. We shouldn't make such a big deal out of it. You can, and it doesn't even have to be like during sex. You can do it outside of the bedroom. Like, I don't know, you see like a hot couple, you're walking with your boo and you're like, what do you think of them? They're kind of hot. Like, did you want to like, I don't know, what's making you think of dirty thoughts right now? So things like that. And that's a moment that you can have to yourself. You don't actually have to act out on it. Kind of like a crush, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to act out on it, but it's a moment that you can have for yourself. And that's something that you can take back to the bedroom and masturbate to your thoughts later.
Very true, very true. Like you can watch Loki and then take that fancy back.
I literally just scroll through Tumblr blogs and just leave Loki on streaming, and I have my magic wand at the ready, and it's just so beautiful. Like, I cry. It hurts. He was here in Toronto too.
Have you ever like gotten like a chance to be near him?
I almost had a chance to be near him. I think it was during one of those like Comic-Cons here in Toronto. But I had something else happening that day and I had to be out of the country. I was like, fuck. Till we meet again, Tom Hiddleston.
I'm sure he'll do another and another and another.
Oh yeah, because he knows me. I'm sending out my erotic energy to Thomas William Hiddleston.
He's gonna feel it. I'm sure you'll meet him.
He feels it right now. He feels it right now. He was right beside. He took a selfie with some fans at a building right beside where I work, and I'm like, no, why am I not there right now?
It hurt. Yeah, I can imagine.
It hurt.
Let's talk about this podcast people can consume. You started it about a month after I started mine last year. Were you also bored out of your mind and looking for human connection after the pandemic?
Well, for me, I started my podcast because before the launch of the pod, I was doing house calls. When my business started in New York, and it was word of mouth. This was in 2019 in the summer. So I was like word of mouth, and it spread here in Toronto. So like I was doing a lot of house calls and coaching and one-on-ones. But then at the peak of the pandemic, I'm like, fuck, I can't like go to my clients' houses anymore. How do I help them? I don't have like a Zoom subscription. So how do I spread the word of sex positivity in a more accessible way? And then Sex Ed with Tim, the podcast, was born, just so I can reach out to as many people as possible from the comfort of my home.
And I've had a couple of sexperts on the show, and I'm always amazed at the type of guests that sex podcasters have on. It's like you'll have a BDSM pro, a porn star, a kink expert. There's like so many careers out there that are tied to sex, but do any stand out to you that have made you go, that's not a career you hear about every day?
Not really, mostly because I've lived it all. I've like I said, escorting for 4 years, you kind of see a huge chunk of human sexuality. I'll never see every little bit, but I have seen quite a lot. But in terms of what kind of threw me back a bit was FinDom, financial dominatrix. So someone who controls the client's cash flow. I met up with a FinDom while I was escorting and tried to see how to get into that. One of my clients was interested in giving me his credit card for like a whole hour, and I just spend it. And he got off on like his phone getting notifications like, your card has been used here for this much dollars. And he was like, oh my God, spend more.
How do you get into
How do you get into that? How do you get into that? Well,
I can spend.
Yeah. And like, it's a good thing that my client lived in like the rich part of Toronto, which is like the strip is a street and it's just full of boutique shops like Gucci, Dolce & Gabbana, Diesel, like all the high-end stuff like Harry Rosen, Holt Renfrew, all that. So it's like he would text me and be like, that's it, spend more. I'm like, oh, okay, because my first purchase was like froyo. I'm like, I don't know exactly what it was, like just a froyo. I'm like, oh, okay. I got myself a suit, fucking, what else did I get? Tickets to some conventions. I was about to buy a car. I was like,
wow,
maybe that's a little much.
He's like, oh, okay, slow down.
Yeah, slow down. Like, he is like rich, but not like, not Amazon CEO rich.
Not like a prince, a Saudi prince or something.
Oh my God. I have been with politicians.
Oh.
Yeah. Those, like, with a lot of my clients, I've had to sign NDAs because they're high up the food chain and they don't want the general public knowing about their depravity, which I'm like, that's a lot to unpack, but okay, whatever makes you happy. Let's do this NDA. So, yeah.
Are they kinkier than most? I imagine.
From my experience, yes, but they don't necessarily have the means to practice their kinks. So they're like, I've always wondered about what you would do if you choked me. Like, okay, well, let's do it here. And then the kinks gradually start to get a little more aggressive and rough. But with the higher ups, they are willing to explore kinks, mostly because they don't have that kind of time in their personal life. So that's why they hire me. They can afford me.
I'm really interested in the spin dominatrix. I'm like,
yeah.
Wow, you're just gonna give me money?
Just access to your card and then you just spend it? Okay, great.
Speaking of guests, do you have like any in the coming weeks that you're excited about?
In June, I will be having an all queer guest lineup with the most famous guest I've ever had on my show, which will premiere at the end of June, at the end of Pride Month, is the one and only Jiggly Caliente.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
who has the history of the worst runways on Drag Race books.
Yeah, I know.
We love her.
We love her so much. So like we talk about her Filipino pride and her journey into her trans identity and what drag had to do with it. I'm also having porn stars, both gay and straight, in June. And yeah, just a bunch of exciting things for the show. So please tune into Sex Ed with Tim, new episodes every other Thursday with bonus episodes in the middle at my discretion.
And can you tell lovely people where they can find you online?
Sure. So if you want to hear more of the garbage that spews out of my mouth, my disgusting unbrushed mouth, because I just ate dinner and didn't brush my teeth, you can find me on sexedwithtim.com. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at sexedwithtim. There's also the Sex Ed with Tim Facebook page. I also have a Patreon for bonus episodes. And if you are interested in a sex toy, go to goodforher.com and use sexedwithtim10 at checkout for 10% off your entire purchase, and they ship worldwide.
And you have your Tumblr that has the Tom Hiddleston penis doodles.
Oh my God. I should just like look for my notebook and scan it and just save it onto my Tumblr, which nobody will ever find. And just have that dirty little secret for myself.
That could be like extra on Patreon. Do you want to see 17-year-old me's doodles of a penis? $5.
Especially Tom Hiddleston's penis. Yeah, there you go.
My husband just walked by the door and was like, what?
Yeah.
he's been out.
Hi, husband. We're talking about penises.
He's used to it. So, Tim, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about penises and all the good stuff and your movie star crush. And everyone, you can find all of Tim's information below. And until next time, keep crushing it.